So we're going to talk about Polkadot. We're going to talk about the altcoin that I think in 2024 will do well. I'm going to do 5 videos of these talking about different altcoins with good risk to reward and good developments going forward that could yield some nice results. We want to buy something that's going to go up, right? Now, this is giving me, I'm going to say it, Cardano vibes from 2020 kind of onwards, right? Why? Look at that chart there, right? I know, interesting. Looks pretty ugly. But when you look at Cardano and we look at the past, similar sort of vibes. Boom. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do it, but some parallels between them. Let's explain some basic stuff. Now, Polkadot is a layer 0. It has a lot of things in terms of technology going for it, but I do feel it lacks in users. However, there's been a little bit of a problem with that user element with parachains and stuff like that. Let me explain. Parachains came out at a bad time. Those parachains have not seen much sunlight. Therefore, not really much interest, but they are developing. They have developed. They're doing very, very well, in my opinion, in terms of developments. The commitments of like what they're aiming to achieve have been pretty solid throughout a really ugly time. And maybe when the VCs are out, when the crowd loan unlocks have happened, and when Polkadot moves away from that shitty system, we might get a lot of coverage. But let's talk about the obvious, right? There's 3 things here that will, over time, majorly change what will happen with the price of Polkadot. Let me explain. The first one is the continuation of staking. Staking is becoming easier to do. Whether you are doing it on Nova Wallet, which is the easiest, Ledger, or you're using the pools, cool, you can stake relatively straightforward. You can also stake on platforms like Bifrost, which is liquid staking. You can stake for a lot less, you can get your unlock much quicker, and it's all done through the V.dot token, right? Very, very straightforward. Now, the element here is 51% of the supply is currently staked. The historic rate of reward there, sorry if I get my words out, is roughly around 14.9%. Not bad. There's a lot of nominators. By far, in my opinion, Polkadot is one of probably the most decentralized altcoins out there. And I will explain further as to why. But staking rewards are great for security. It's not great for passive income. I know someone in the comments is going to go, well, the price died. Yes, it has. There's a right time and a wrong time to stake if you're looking to maximize your gains. So make sure you're aware of that. Now, like that being said, let's go on a little bit deeper. The treasury. The treasury. Again, when we talk about staking rewards, you are locked up for 28 days on the most part of it, right? You are, unless you're on a centralized exchange, right? Don't use those. However, the treasury is a little bit different. The treasury allows you to vote, as governance, and the treasury is a part of the reward that is kind of granted, whether it's a yes or a no, and that treasury then is used to then fund the idea, whatever it may be, whether it is an operation, cross-chain application, network security, software development, community events, marketing, paid marketing, research, get the idea, right? Now, you can do a commitment of a vote. So let's just say, I don't know, 10 DOT, but you can multiply that by 6 and you can lock up your DOT for that commitment of vote. That kind of, I want to maximize my amount of DOT. You can do no lockup, you can do a smaller lockup, or you can do a big boy lockup, right? This is where you're going to start seeing more and more DOT locked up. This is where it gets interesting. Now, what else is interesting here? You can do proposals. Proposals could be a marketing campaign, as I say, a research development project, or an event. Simple. You've also got bounties, a little bit different. Now, similar sort of thing. Do a proposal, it's a bounty. And the most obvious one, that is the most simplistic one, is a tip. If you believe there's people out there that should be tipped for their work, all that kind of stuff, whether it is writing articles, doing videos, not been tipped yet, just saying. You get the idea? So people can vote on, does X creator or X person, whoever, deserves to get a tip for their work, right? Kind of an afterthought sort of effect, right? They all require voting. They all require feedback and all that stuff using your DOT. right? Huge. That could be massive. Now, one thing that I've not really mentioned much is the token burns. There is a slight token burn here. 1% is a current set rate. Personally, if I was going to be mentioning any sort of proposal, I would increase that if I was in any sort of state to do it, personally, because we're not spending enough for the treasury, right? But that would indicate, well, why don't we not burden the stuff that we don't, so it doesn't grow too big, which could become a problem in the future, right? Personally, that's my own opinion. But let's talk about this. When I talk about this in terms of the obvious, see this? That's locked, right? That's locked due to votes. So there you go. Decent chunk. When we talk again about the treasury, how is it created? Well, it's created via transaction fees, through staking inefficiencies, slashes, transfers, and then you got the outflow, right? The outflow is obviously the burn tokens, obviously the proposals being granted, and the tips. So you can see why it goes left and right a little bit. Now, when we talk about risk reward of an asset that could go up in value, we're talking about scarcity. There is roughly a 7.4% inflation rate on DOT at the minute. As you can imagine, if that decreases a little bit and more things happen on this side, it may well offer more value. But what is? I know you're in the comments going, well, what is it? Well, the treasury sum is massive. It's 44.27 DOT, right? That's quite a lot of monies, okay? That is literally a pot of DOT ready to be spent, literally. And it's increasing all the time. Obviously, other projects here, they're treasuries, right? When we go back in time, there's currently 40 million DOT locked up in voting. And you've also got, going back to the old staking thing where I had before, you've got 51% of the supply kind of there. There's a lot of things happening here where there's a lot of things locked, which will increase scarcity, and therefore it may well shoot. There's one final thing though that's coming out very, very soon. Polkadot 2.0 is going to allow a different model to run to allow people, project managers, project creators, little geeks, meme coins maybe, hint, hint, wink, wink, maybe a meme coin coming to Polkadot anytime soon, to allow an easier barrier to entry to purchase core time. Now, if this allows more projects onto Polkadot, if this makes it so they don't have to do a crowd loan, you're going to see more and more DOT used and locked up and given to Polkadot to then distribute elsewhere, therefore creating even more scarcity at a much bigger barrier to entry, which will then increase something really obvious. I'm going to explain it in a second. What the core time will do will make it like an online kind of space where it's just like you're bulk buying and people can negotiate, change very, very quickly what their thing is doing. TPS, all that kind of stuff, right? Simple. Problem we got is dApps. There's not enough dApps yet on Polkadot, personally. That's what I want to say. But maybe that might change. That might change very, very quickly because you've got all these other networks out there. You've got Avalanche, Solana, obviously Ethereum, that are probably a lot easier to kind of get on board with versus Polkadot because of the fund element. Now, if this changes, it's going to make it much better, personally. You may well see a lot more existing projects wanting to become a part of Polkadot for the interoperability. Therefore, more and more money has been spent. So as you can see here, these are just some of the dApps here. A lot of these are parachains. Parachains needed a lot of funding. They needed to win a parachain slot. That model's gone. That's going to be gone. Kick it away. But the new model will be much better. And fingers crossed, it allows more and more things to come onto the ecosystem. Therefore, making more users use it, interact with it, and it will get a bit easier to allow that. Good. Let's talk about the price. So, I've alluded to it before. Looks like a dog's dinner, and it does. However, it also has a lot of room to go to the upside. This is why we're talking about it as an undervalued asset. What's the point of talking about something that's already run, 200%? No point. Polkadot has not. It's $6.50. It's looking really good. I was getting pretty excited about it, but we had to have a pullback. If we zoom in a little bit and look at this price action, it's actually not bad. EMA 21 is roughly at the support level, which is a huge level, by the way. And we could bounce at any point around these points, roughly around this area. Now, when we talk about risk to reward, it's important to note that there's going to be a massive fair value gap around here where there's going to be a big, massive run, because when we look on these higher time frames, this is where Polkadot really fell hard. When you think about this level here as a break of resistance at $8.90, give or take, we could run very aggressively towards $12. When liquidity is pulled out of something pretty quick, it's not replaced, and the bulls get momentum, it's just going to shoot. It's just going to go bang. Why is it going to do that? Because everything else in that rough sort of, top 20 area did it. Chainlink did it recently. Let me show you. I'll just give you an example. Chainlink had a situation here where it broke out of a long level of like resistance, and then all of a sudden, pop, went right up to the most obvious level. Polkadot may well be doing something very, very similar once it breaks out of here, and obviously when it breaks out of here. As I say, it looks very much like a Cardano chart from the past. And what did Cardano done? Well, it ran pretty hard, but there's all these kind of mechanics that need to be brought into situ to allow that to happen. But that's what Core 2.0 is all about. This is what certain proposals are all about. This is why more and more projects may well be coming onto Polkadot, because they can just press a button and do it. And it'll be much easier than what the previous model would have been. That is huge, right? When we look at the future, okay, all-time high roughly puts it at $72 billion market capitalization. I think that isn't bad value, and it could run a lot higher. But this is the thing. We talk about the past. Polkadot has had a bull cycle without any project on it. Pretty much, right? The parachains came out at a really bad time. Terrible time. Shouldn't have been launched. Let's be honest here. It shouldn't have happened. It did, and it was horrible. And we all live to fight another day, technically, and hope that the users will come and it will grow in that sense. But we'll see. Fundamentals, though, are strong here. You want a solid token that is decentralized with a decent lockup on a lot of things. And there's three elements there that are freaking huge. And the treasury is just growing and growing. That's massive. So, in my opinion, I think this isn't too bad. But what I will say is this. I will not be hoping that things get magically sorted out with marketing, because essentially the team have just left the marketing alone a little bit to allow the treasury to kind of do its thing. The proposals, the governance, that needs to get right. That is the bit that needs to be tickety-boo. Anyways, other than that, I'm off. But yeah, Polkadot, in my opinion, needs a meme coin. So yeah, could be fun.